Hey everybody, this is Beth from Quilts and Lace at home on a Sunday afternoon. And hopefully you guys recognize this little project that we did earlier in the week. Uh, it was mistakenly completed, so we're going to kind of have to work around that. You can see that it's already been completely quilted in the background, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can do it a different way if you would like. Hi, this is Beth from Quilts and Lace. Welcome everybody. This was a Kimberbell project that we did, I want to say it was Wednesday. And this is from the Kimberbell Club, which is a pattern that's exclusive to dealers. And it was all done in the hoop. And my goal with this was to stop prior to the quilting being done in the background. And that quilting in the background was something that was a part of the design. And then it also included the flaps that enclosed it so that it was all done in the hoop and finished and everything. And I had wanted to stop prior to those final steps, but I can still show you how it is done. So I've got the Solaris here at home. And I think while I was away, Gay Van Voorst talked about using a wireless mouse. This is a baby lock one, and all you have to make sure, of course, is that it is not wireless, but that it plugs in. So I'll be using that today, and that's going to be great for the camera because it will not, my finger won't get in the way and keep refocusing it. So I'm glad to be using that. I am going to turn the camera just a little bit down to my machine, and I'll show you what I've kind of got set up here. So let me focus this down. All right. So a really nice thing to use is the magnetic hoop. So this is the Snap Hoop Monster by Dime. And all I've done is I have a just a no-show mesh in the hoop. And I could put a piece of batting on here too if I wanted to, but I've already got kind of a thick substance here. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that in my hoop. If I was doing this for real, I would probably use a little 505, or I could use a fusible no-show mesh and just fuse my project down. All right. Now the other thing that I did is because I do have so much dimension to this, I have gone ahead and I've raised my presser foot. Hey guys, thanks for coming on and joining me today. Hey, Gay. Oh, there's Gay. Yay! So thank you for the demos that you did while I was away. I heard very good things about them. All right, so all I've done is this. No-show mesh, a little batting if you want to, and then your project right in the hoop. I'm going to go ahead and show you a completed version, but then I am going to show you how we can do that. So let me focus the camera around. All right. And by the way, I'm going to be scanning in the background. And so I did go ahead and close the blinds on my window because the glare of the window coming in would have affected my scanning of the hoop over here. So just, you know, be aware of light coming from other directions. You don't want that shining on. So think of it just like a camera. If you've got too much light shining on the area, it will wash it out. So this is the completed. So I went ahead and I created what I would like to do for this, just so that you guys could see the completed project. But now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make it. So let me go ahead and close this. I had saved that to the embroidery machine. Okay, I'm going to go and up here on the upper corner. So I don't know if you can see my mouse. I'll move it around here, so hopefully you can see it. And I'm going to go to my little home icon. It asks me if I can cancel that selection. I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to go to my IQ Design Center. Now remember, you guys are seeing things in mirror image, and I apologize for that. But hopefully the icon's big enough that you can determine that that says IQ Designer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that because I'm going to be in my design area. Now I am on the Solaris too, but of course the Solaris, the Destiny, the Altair, and all the brother lookalikes can do the same thing. Hey Donna, hey Marilyn, hey, I think is it your birthday today? Happy birthday, Marilyn. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Right now, I have nothing in my screen other than a hoop outline selected here. I'm going to go to this upper corner here, and again, hopefully you can see my little mouse moving around, and it's a picture of a leaf up here, and that's where I can get to all my scanning capabilities. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then down here on the bottom, it gives me 3 different options. And please let me know. Oh, it is her birthday. Yay! Hi, Connie. Hope you're doing well. So there are 3 options down here. One says image scan, line design, and illustration design. So those are the 3 different ways that I can bring my image in. I'm going to be doing the image scan because I just want it to be a background. I don't want to digitize that image coming in. All I want is it to be a background, and then I'm going to draw on top of it. So we're going to choose this first one called image scan. I have gone into my settings of my machine here, and knowing that this is sitting up quite high on here and it's on some batting over here in my hoop, I have told the machine, hey, please recognize that this isn't flat on the embroidery hoop. It's raised up a little bit. So in order to be a little bit more accurate, I've told the machine that, hey, please do a measurement of the height of what I have on my hoop. So I'm going to say scan, and it's going to tell me that, oh, okay, very good. I want to do that for you, but you need to take your positioning sticker. So here it is right here, and it is being reflected, and you're probably not going to be able to see it, but right where my finger is, it's being projected down onto my fabric. So all I do is I take my positioning sticker and line it up as best I can with the little red image that's being projected down onto it. I'm going to go ahead and say okay over here, and now my machine is going to look for that little positioning sticker, and you can see he found it, and he's going to recognize it, and in a moment, as soon as he does, he's going to tell me that, hey, I found it. Go ahead and remove it because now I'll scan. So the camera is no longer able to hit the hoop in the same angle as it was prior to having a thick substance there. So it just needs to let the machine recalibrate. So it says a detection success, remove the embroidery positioning mark and press OK to start background capture. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And I do want to make sure that I made my foot high enough, yeah, just barely high enough so that it's not going to hit that thick embroidered project that I have in the hoop. And it looks like it's going to be done in a second here. One more scan. I always like to tell people that this is high definition scanning that it does, and just how quiet it is. We're going to look back over here on my screen, so back over here, and right now it's a super light image. Let me go ahead and make it dark so that you can see what a great job it did scanning it in. If I were to leave it this dark, I would have a nice image of my background, but I wouldn't be able to see what I was drawing on top of it. So I'm going to lighten it up until I can see what I'm drawing on top of it. So hopefully you can see this nice shadowy image behind it. And if I do want to get bigger, which I do, I can zoom in. So there's a nice bigger image of it. The first thing that I want to do is I want to create this square that defines the border and that black on the inside. So I'm going to go here to my shapes right here with the circle and the square. I'm going to go ahead and select that. I'm going to go ahead and capture the square shape. I'm going to say okay to that. And now it's super huge. In fact, the line's way out here. So I need to resize that. So I'm going to go to size and I'm going to make this small. So again, I'll keep trying to move my mouse so that you can see Then I'm going to make it small. I tried to put it somewhat in the center, but I can already tell that I didn't quite do that. I make it just a little bit bigger. So my red line is going around here. If I make that completely dim, there is my red line, and it's not positioned quite correctly. So I need to move it. So I'm using my arrow keys down here on the bottom. And I am moving that red square. You're not going to be able to see it yet. Let me keep moving it, so that it's lining up with the black kind of border between the leaf border material and the black on the inside. I need to move it down some too, because I did not center that in the hoop well. So the better you center it in the hoop, the less maneuvering you're going to need to do with this. So I am still moving that red square, which I know you guys can't see very well. So I'll try to move more quickly, but it's doing very fine precision moving. So that's why it's moving by very small increments. And now I'm going to make it just a tad bigger. And again, I probably won't be as precise on this one. And I'll just, when I finish showing you how to make it, I'll go back to the one that I did take a little bit more time on. So I'm making this larger. And now it wasn't quite a square, so I have another little one over here that allows me just to increase the height of it. And now I will move it down just a little bit, move it over just a little bit, move it down just a little bit. And again, you could be more precise with this and just take more time. Now remember, I have enlarged this 200%, so that's also what's going on. I don't have it completely squared. My box going around the shape is a little bit off. So remember, you also have the rotate icon right here. And so I can move that, and that's about all it needed, so that it lines up and it's squared. So now my red box is nicely lined up and squared, or almost anyway. Okay, so I'm going to say okay to that. So now I've got my box, and the default setting for that is a satin stitch. So I don't know if you can see up here that I'm pointing to the satin stitch. I'm going to be drawing a couple more lines. So before I change that, I'm going to draw my other lines, and then I'll go back and I'll change all those lines to just being a straight stitch. The next thing that I want to do is I want to define the outline of the leaf, because I don't want to put a fill pattern on the inside on my image. I only want it on the outside. And before I do that, actually, to be like the image that I made earlier, I actually made a second square, and I did a different design on this outer border. So since I've got the square already nicely placed in there, what I can do is I just go down here to my duplicate. And so I don't know if you can see my cursor down here. It's a square with another dotted square. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. So now I've got two boxes. It offsets it just a little bit. So I am going to need to size and move it. So I'm going to go to my size here, and I need to just move it over a little bit, because again, when it brings it in, it offsets it. And to just make it a tad easier for me when I resize this, if I center it on my image, that's just going to be a little bit easier for me. And let me move it up a little bit. All right, it's almost correct. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that bigger. And this is the square over here with the arrows going in the out direction. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that box that I just created. Whoops, too big. Let me make it smaller here. And now I've created a second outline around it. That way it's going to allow me to do one fill on the leaf fabric here on the outside border, and I can do a different fill pattern on the inside. All right, now they're all satin stitches so far. Now I am going to go ahead and draw that leaf area. So this is my line section up here, and here defines how my lines can be drawn. And I click on that, and I go to my little settings page there, and it tells me that I can do it free motion. Let me tilt it up just a little bit, which is the first one there. I can do free motion and have it complete that image into an enclosed area. I can have a straight line, but I'm going to use the straight line right over here that also makes the image enclosed when I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay to that. And I'm going to pick a color. I'm just going to pick a bright one here, kind of a orangey red there. And I am going to change that color just so you guys can see me draw. So I'm going to say okay to that. And I've got a pretty good image here. And this is when using the mouse to define this image works really nice, because the point on that mouse, and I think, there we go. I can bring that in for you guys a little bit. So can you see my pointer? So the point on my mouse allows me to get right on all the tips and corners that I need to do. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to draw. So I'm going to start at a point and I'm going to click it. And then I'm going to click my next point. And it's drawing a line for me from one point to the next. So I don't even have to try to be straight. It already draws that straight line. Now I'm going to go up to this point, and it's going to continually try to make it an enclosed shape. So it's enclosed, this triangle here, until I get all the way around. So it'll keep recalculating what it has to do in order to enclose that area. So hopefully you guys can see me clicking these points of the leaf, and I'm just clicking all of them until I get all the way around back here. And now it's enclosed that leaf. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit here. And I am going to now go into my section that is my fill patterns here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my paintbrush. So that just moves me from lines to fill patterns. I'm going to go up here because right now the default setting is this fill pattern right here. And I want to change that. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to all my little options right here. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hit select, and then this brings me all of them. So for this particular design, what I did is on that outer border, I used this pattern right here, the one that I've just selected and highlighted. Hey, everybody. And I'm going to say okay to that. I'm going to pick a gold color to just kind of match what I'm doing. And I'm going to say okay. I fill the little paint can over here, and I kind of think of that as I'm filling my pen with the color and the fill pattern that I want. And now when I take that and put that in this outside box area, you guys should be able to see that it filled it in with that pattern. So that's in there. I now want a different fill pattern for the inside. So I'm going to go back to my selections here. And for that one, I chose the leaves down here. So that one that's now highlighted, I'm going to say okay. I'm going to go ahead and pick a green for that. I'm going to say okay. And now my paint bucket here is highlighted, and now I can fill around the leaf. The reason that I didn't want to fill on the inside of the leaf is because we had that vein that we had stitched in our embroidery. I am happy with what I've got here, although I know I want to change the size of the fill pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the word next, which is down at the bottom right here. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And here it gives me all the options to change. The first one that it's selected is this outside area. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to make it larger than the 100%. So I'm going to go ahead and make it, let's make it 150. Okay, so I'm just going to make that pattern a little bit bigger and say okay. I'm going to go, after it does that, wait for it. I'm now going to click this arrow here to go to my next fill pattern. And the next fill pattern is that leaf one that I did in green. And now at this one, because it's a smaller area, I'm going to make it smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and put it down to about 70%, I think is what I chose. I'm going to say okay, and now it's going to calculate and make it smaller. All right, and now we're starting to get our end results. So my lines that I drew are all satin stitches, so you might want to keep it that way, but I'm going to go back up here to my arrow and select my satin stitch lines. I'm going to go ahead and link them all. So now it's going to take those satin stitches, and I'm going to tell it, I don't even want a satin stitch. I just want it to be a straight stitch. So I go ahead and quick straight stitch. We'll just pick up purple to make it a different color. And I'm going to say okay. And it is going to change all those satin stitches now to a straight stitch. If I'm happy with everything that I have done, I can go ahead and set it down here on the lower right-hand corner, left on your side there. Or I could return and embellish some more or change things. We're going to go ahead and say set. And it's telling me that it's converted to the embroidery pattern and the IQ designer will be exited. And I'm going to continue to the embroidery screen. I'm going to say okay. And what I love about this is that it has brought me right over to my embroidery section, and I am ready to go. If at this point I decide I don't like these colors over here, I can go ahead and change them. So if I'm like, oh, I really don't like that violet color, I can go in here and I can change it to a green, change all of that, say okay. And I am ready to go right to my embroider, and I'm ready to go. So that's what I had for you guys today, and hopefully that was helpful so that you guys feel empowered to go ahead and do it yourself. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. And if you have any questions, please give us a call. And the other good news is that this morning I did finish the jelly roll quilt that I had shown the other day, the animal print one. So I got my 2 borders on it, and it's ready to go. So it's ready to be quilted. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let me just see if I can just make sure there were no questions. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and I am going to keep sewing. All right, bye. This is Beth from Quilts and Lace.